Homa County. That's the Honorable Amina Mnyazi, the Member of Parliament for Malindi constituency, my co-chair, the Honorable Opio and I, and myself. We received your invitation, your memorandum. So we want to listen to you. In total, you have 15 minutes time to introduce yourself and say what your issues are. Karibu.
Okay, Chair, good morning. The Secretary General for Interface Community Help Desk. I would like to thank the National Dialogue Committee for deeming it fit to give us the opportunity to address and give our views on behalf of the residents of Homa Bay County. Without much ado, whereas you've given us 15 minutes to deliberate on these issues, I think it is prudent that we obey the rules of the game by the National Dialogue Committee. So I'll first begin by stating as follows. Whereas you had highlighted 5 issues that were to be canvassed by the Kenyan citizens, we deemed it fit, and I think it is us who came first as members of the public, that we felt that the dialogue was not people-centered, but it was leader-centered. But luckily enough, it was prudent for the Learned Council, who is also the former Vice President of the Republic, say that we need to come and give our views via our memorandum, of which we also say thank you to the panelists. I'll begin by stating as follows, that I'll not read everything because of time. The thematic areas with regard to electoral justice and related matters, restructuring and reconstitution of the IEBC, we had the following recommendation. 1, there is need, and I'm pleading again that there is need. Those are 3 words. That we need to abolish what is the so-called National Tallying Center. Because where we are in, the citizens of the Republic of Kenya have always been participating in voting, but the problem, it is from the National Tallying Center, not at the polling station. So as we are saying, we need to have what is known as the polling station tallying center. Because if all votes are being casted right from the ground, what is the need, or what is it that the chairman is going to do? What is it that is going to verify? Because already the results have been found right from the ground. So the reason as to why we deemed it fit that we need to abolish the National Tallying Center is that this is where the problem has always begun. Kenyans have not been fighting at the polling station. They have been fighting at the National Tallying Center with leaders who have been elected. So for us to avoid that sham, we need to abolish the so-called National Tallying Center. That is 1. 2, we are saying that we need to creation of youth members of parliament elected as the same as women representatives, including persons with disability. Why? Article 28 is not being observed by political parties of this country, whereby you will just find that they handpick certain fellas to represent the interest of the youth. So that is why we are saying persons with disability, youth representatives are supposed to be elected. The other issue we had about the electoral justice is that Article 97 of the Kenyan Constitution, we found out that when it comes to impeachment of the president, the powers goes to the members of parliament who have been elected, members of parliament and members of the Senate. As we are saying that if the sovereign power belongs to the people, then it is the people to decide if a leader doesn't work for them. And the reason as to why we are saying this is that the system we have in this country is a presidential system, not a parliamentary system. And the question is, why is it that when it comes to impeachment of the president, it now goes to the parliamentary system. It needs to come from the people, because all these characters have been elected by the people of Kenya. So that is why we are saying we need calling them characters. Your Honor, if you look at the terminology character, it refers to so many things, and it depends with English wording, and that is why I normally use the term characters. Even me, I'm a character. The same should also apply to the governors and ward reps. They are supposed to be recalled by the people. Not governors are being recalled by the MCAs. That is what we felt. The other thing we heard about the outstanding constitutional matters with regard to Article 43, what we found out is that we would like to request, especially the members of parliament who are representatives, you always ensure that you pass legislations, not papers. Papers are not legislations. So if you pass legislations in parliament, that is when taxes can be reduced. And these taxes and levies can only be reduced in petroleum products in order to improve the efficiency of domestic refineries. So justification which we have with regard to this is that our peers, the neighboring countries, those are the landlocked countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. Their cost in terms of fuel is much lower than us, who have an inland port. So that should be a big worry to us. How comes that a landlocked country, its petroleum levies are lower, and a country which is not landlocked like Kenya, which is cherished and respected amongst all nations in the world, its taxes and levies are more? It is pinching on the economy. The other thematic area we had is about fidelity to political parties, coalitions, and law on multi-party democracy. On this, we are saying that this is already captured in Section 543 of the Political Parties Act. So the provision itself lays the ground and management and membership of political parties. So justification, we underscore that the fact that democracy is enhanced both by the ruling party and opposition and not weakened in the delivery and oversight from both parties. So the other thematic area which we have is thematic area 4, that is about entrenchment of funds in the Constitution, that is the NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund, and NGAF. The role of Parliament is oral, and I'm repeating, the role of Parliament is oral. That is oversight, representation, appropriation, and legislation. To this effect, we would like to say that the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya pronounced itself on this and hence makes the matter moot. Reason being, it defeats the principles of the rule of law with regard to public finance. So the other issue which we have with regard to this is that help, and I'm repeating, help, for the third time, help should be entrenched in the Kenyan Constitution. Majority of students are suffering, and people are not talking about their plight. For us, we would like to categorically state that all students in both public universities and tertiary institutions and public colleges are entitled to help. So help should be included in the Constitution so that no Kenyan student is left behind. The other thing we are saying on this is that government-sponsored persons who are earning salaries and who would like to further their studies should not, and I'm repeating, should not be catered for by the government. Reason being, already they're earning their stipends, and some of the youths do not have jobs, and they don't have their salaries. So for this, we would like that government-sponsored persons who are going to pursue their studies, or furthering their studies, should not be given help. They cater for themselves from their salaries. The other thing we are saying is that the funding model for every cluster in the universities should be the same across all public institutions. what we came to realize is that we will find a student who is pursuing law in the University of Nairobi. The amount of fee is paying, and the student who is also pursuing the same course at Maseno University, Egerton University, OJ Ikwat, is totally distinct. For us, we feel it that for education not to be discriminative and the dignity of the Kenyan students to be respected and protected, there is a need for the funding model cluster to be the same across public institutions. About cross-cutting issues, we had the big elephant in the room, which is making the Kenyan youths to walk with their socks torn. You might think that it is a tongue, but it is not, because the socks are torn. Is that any person charged with economic crime should be remanded and all his assets should be frozen until the matter is concluded. Justification is this: persons or characters who have been found to have embezzled public funds are still going back to the corridors of justice, seeking for the cash they have looted from the members of the public they are using in buying justice. So for us, we felt that any person who is charged with economic crime should be remanded and all his assets should be frozen until the matter is concluded.
Denied bail.
Yes. No, what we are saying is that whereas we are talking about bail and bond terms, and with regard to the issue that we say in law that you are the guilty and innocent. Already you've been found and charged with the Economic Crimes and Anti-Economic Crimes Act, and your salary is placed at a half. What is it that you expect? That is double speak. For any law student, that is double speak. Because if you say that you are in need of bail and bond terms, and at the same time, Economic Crimes Act Section 52, it is saying, ukipatikana uko na hii hatia, half of that you are given pay. Already it has been justified. And tumepatikana na that hatia. What is it that you expect again? Should you get that bail, bond, and terms? Anchored on that. That is from the school of thought where we are reasoned with that. On the other issue we have, your honors and the Learned Council who are present here, is about Article 234 of the Kenyan Constitution. And if you may allow me, Article 234I, the functions and powers of the Commission. We have a problem with the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission is not a tribunal. It is not a tribunal. And you will find, if you read it says that Article 234(2)(I), hear and determine appeals in respect of county government's public service. So this one makes us to stand in limbo. County governments are autonomous. We have what is called as the County Public Service Board. So it seems to us that the Public Service Commission has usurped the powers of the County Public Service Boards. So they don't have a biting teeth. Instead, it is them who are being beaten by the big animal, so-called the Public Service Commission, which does not have a tribunal. We know very well that NEMA, National Environmental Management Authority, it has a tribunal which has been anchored in law. So for us, we would like Article 234I to be removed from the Kenyan Constitution. The other thing we have is about the entrenchment of state offices, the office of the official opposition. We are saying that the office should be created in Parliament by an act, being seconded in votes, tallied, hence the road should be clearly indicated. We found out this, that even right now as we sit, even right now as the National Dialogue Committee sits, the National Dialogue Committee did not pass the grey test. I so call it the grey test because it is easier for us to identify a green horse in a white grass, but not the vice versa. Not a green grass and then we identify the white horse. So for us on this, we are saying that this will ensure that the government is checked by properly and best legislations as provided for. And then we avoid the issue so-called the big elephant in the corridors of debates, which is known as Tuonane Badai. This Tuonane Badai slogan is going to be reduced. in the corridors of debates. So for us, we would like to attest and confirm that the issues which have been highlighted by the National Dialogue Committee, the so-called NDC, is anchored on Article 10, 2B, and the issues highlighted promotes fundamental gains which have been made by the Kenyan Constitution. What is left for us as a country is to ensure that we retain our global respect position, of which our beacon, which has been, and I still cherish, as a citizen who was born and bred in this republic, which is of peace, love, and unity, that should be long-lasting during our stay and our living in this planet Earth called world, and this country called Kenya, with all its counties. The other issue,
just to remind you,
yes,
I had mentioned to you that you have 15 minutes,
yes,
which you have exhausted.
Only give me 2 minutes, if I may.
It leaves me in a difficult situation because there's still.
We have 4 minutes remaining.
You still have time for these panelists also, unless you want to conclude your remarks.
I want to conclude
without any questions from the panelists.
Yes, I wanted to add an issue on presidential term.
Okay.
Our concern is that this ill fight has been coming out whereby citizens of the Republic cannot realize their social economic rights. It is cause of politics. So for us, we say that a president needs to go for a single term of 10 years. 10 years. We wanted the president to go for a single term of 10 years. If he finishes, he goes and parks together with this deputy president. That is our thought. And the other issue we wanted to raise is that we had a position from the Suba community. They've met the population quota, of which they require a county. And also us in Homa Bay town, we've met the population quota, whereby we want the Homa Bay town constituency to be divided so that we can have Kanyada constituency. For us, we've met the population quota. And this one will make us to realize the issue, the big issue before the corridors of debate, whereby Kimani Chungwa is saying, Honorable Kimani Chungwa is saying, majority leader, one man, one coin, or one shilling, one man. So for us, for this to be realized even to us, we have to create a super count.
I use that I have ever said.
He has also spoken about it. Okay. So thank you very much for having given us the opportunity. Asanteni sana.
So the presenters finished their time, but I'll just allow one question only from each side. Okay. Hassan, you'll take on behalf of each side.
All these results from the polling stations and centers, where do we tally them?
We saw it that normally at Bomas is where the fight is, not right at the polling station. So after all the results of the members of parliament have been declared, MCAs, governors, women reps, and senators, everybody dashes to the National Tallying Center. So we're asking ourselves, why is it that everybody is dashing towards the National Tallying Centers, and yet they are voted at the polling stations? So, for us to have a beautiful country, this country we cherish, honorable members, let us be candid enough and honest to ourselves, so that future generations will not suffer the same fate.
But where do we then?
So tallying, that is what brings me to tell you about this. We have 47 counties, and this will bring the aspect part of the electoral colleges. So if we have like 64,000 polling stations in the entire republic, and presidential A has got 50,000, definitely he is supposed to be declared the president.
So you are saying we scrap the National Tallying Center?
Yes.
Okay.
And movement to electoral colleges.
Okay.
That is what we are saying.
You had said earlier on,
yes,
that you don't want to see members of parliament impeach establishing a precedent
Yes.
that should be left to the people.
The people, yes.
Do it themselves.
Yes.
But aren't you alive to the provisions of Article 1?
Yes, I am alive to it.
That allows the public, the people,
Yes.
power
Yes.
to elect their representatives.
The wording which is used in that given article, Learned Council, if I may, if you look at the sovereignty of the people, it says that all powers, all sovereign powers belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be, underline the wording shall, mandatory, be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. The people may, optional, may, optional. That is it, Your Honor.
No, complete it, may.
May exercise their sovereignty power either directly or through their democratically elected. So the wording, the conjunction may, I apply one.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And I think that is a plain language in law.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Any final question from the panelists before we let the representative from Homa Bay Interface Community Help Desk? We may let him go.
Before he goes, let me go.
Before you go, sorry, Michael, we shall let him go. Because may is optional.
Before he goes,
He may opt not to go.
Michael,
Yes,
very finally,
yes,
Kanyada,
yes,
out of the present-day Homa Bay town
yes,
constituency,
yes.
what would the other constituencies then be named?
For instance, Your Honor, you come from Ugenya constituency.
I come from Ugunja.
Ugunja, yes, Ugunja constituency.
Yes, yes.
So Ugunja is for Ugunja clansmen. In their interest, it is being catered for. Right now, our counties are experiencing the rural-urban migration. And you will find that we have the local natives, like honorable member seated next to you, Arun. He has got the Ogie community. Yes. Ogie can also have their constituency because they have got their own challenges they face. So for us, the urban setups, we find that right now we have like the Tomboy universities, we have students from all walks of life. Right now the university has taken a portion of roughly like 20,000 plus, if you include with the local residents who are working within, and then the local natives will be left with no representation. So that is the reason as to why we are saying that each and every area has to be represented, including even Soba County.
So the constituency will be called what? That was a question.
No, the constituency we want is Kanyada constituency. There is no problem.
The remaining part of Homa Bay?
Homa Bay town constituency,
Okay.
because it's a cosmopolitan.
Kanyaga now will comprise more of the Suba community in Homa Bay.
No, Kanyada constituency will comprise of the Kanyadians, the local natives.
Kanyaga, I want to understand, Michael.
Yes,
The Kanyagians
yes.
are what you describe as the local natives.
Yeah,
Let me ask you, just hold on,
yes.
because you cut across the image of a very consider the Kanyagians, and you who are natives of Homa Bay.
Yes,
Maybe you live in Nairobi
yes,
as a Kanyagian,
yes,
and in another 5 to 10 years,
yes,
where you live, there's a small community of Kanyagians.
yes.
Are you then also going to demand another constituency for Kanyagians in Nairobi where you live?
No,
Or
Nairobi.
let me just finish. Or would you want us to consider a situation where we don't have to split up our country into small fiefdoms of ethnic conclaves, clans, families? Because at the rate we are going, it looks like every other community wants their own county, others clans want their own constituency, there are families that want their own wards. When and where shall we stop?
Your Honor, this one is being brought by the, for instance, if you say that a country belongs to shareholders, where is my share? Where is my share? Where is my share? And this doesn't go well with others because they just say it, but when it blows out, it becomes an issue. And we've seen it happening in other countries, including one
But
typical...
Michael, what I have heard being said is government has shareholding, not the country.
When you talk about the government, it's the people. Government for the people, by the people, with the people. So if you don't participate in electing a given government, do you have your share?
You have a share to get service and be served by that government.
Through camouflage.
But
let us be honest.
No, let me also be honest.
Yes.
Michael, because what has been said, and I know particularly what you are quoting, is that when you subscribe into a government by voting for it,
yes,
by supporting it,
yes,
but when a government is elected, it is elected to serve all the people of the country,
yes,
irrespective of who you voted for,
yes,
and who you didn't vote for. And,
yes,
as an elected leader, I can tell you that
yes,
there are many people who never voted for me. At least 9,000 people did not vote
yes,
for me, or close to another 60,000 people voted for me. And that is the essence of having our elections done through secret ballot. Okay. You do not know who voted for you. But when I am appointing people to my office,
yes,
then I would want to look at people who subscribe to my ideals and what I want to do. Yes. And therefore, I'll not go for Michael if Michael never voted for me to serve in my office, because he may not even want to push my agenda. And I think that's the genesis of that statement. But my question to you was very simple.
Yes.
When and where do we stop dividing and cutting our country in fiefdoms based on ethnicity, based on clanism and familial ties? Because if the Kanyagians want their own constituency, yes, you mentioned the Ogiet.
Yes.
They're out here.
Even El Molos.
El Molos. Yes. We had the Sabauts from Transaia, yes, County. And whereas they have every right to claim marginalization and everything, two of the people who are seated where you are seated have served. One as a deputy governor in Transaia. Another one, I think, was a former majority leader, former deputy speaker or the speaker of the county assembly.
Yes. In
the county, they claim marginalization.
Yes.
So my question as to where it will stop, because must you as Kanyagians,
yes, have your own constituency, yes, for you to be heard, or for you to feel that you're included in the leadership of the country? I can tell whereas you are included by voting through universal suffrage. And I heard what you are telling Honorable Pio. Yes. That the people may delegate the authority. Yes. Not shall delegate. Yes. With that in mind, that we are in a country where we vote through universal suffrage. And I think that's the point you're advancing, that if we vote through universal suffrage, then to impeach a president, then it has to be done through universal suffrage. With that in mind, Kanyagians vote in Homa Bay, they will vote for whoever they vote for, and they are heard, and they have their stake through an electoral process. What? Yes. How are you?